Yo, how's your butts? It's Pete here, and today we're going to talk about actual weapons and loadouts for your character that you should be taking into or thinking about taking into a day one raid. I'm going to be taking a Warlock. I am probably going to exclusively play Word of Dawn. That is probably going to be the exclusive that I play. I do have one set fully masterworked already. I do have a bunch of others in the vault that I haven't actually upgraded yet. I haven't worried about infusing anything, but just a few things and weapons that you probably should bring in if you don't have them in already. I'm going to go through a few of them just to show you what to expect from a day one raid. So day one raid going to be all about staying alive. You're going to be 20 under light every single encounter if you're at the cap. If you're below the cap, if you're below 1230 base, so your base power, so whatever this power is right here, if you're below 1230, you're gonna, once you get into the later stages of the raid, you're gonna be even further under light than 20. So what everybody should bring in, whatever your favorite pulse rifle is in the kinetic slot, and if you have one that you like in the energy slot, that would be a good backup too. Mine is this one. This is actually the one I got from my day one last wish. This is the curated roll. I really like it. It does offer a damage buff without actually killing anything once you get to the end of the magazine. It's got good base reload, and it does have kill clip if you actually end up killing something, which you will kill a lot of. So I really like this one. It's not an overpowered pulse. It is just probably the best all-around pulse that's actually in the game. I've used it in a couple day one raids, and it's always been superb for me. So any pulse, if you have any of the 390s, like a couple of the new ones, I know the Treads Upon Stars or whatever it is. I think that was actually a D1. Whatever the Stars one is, the new Solar one, that one's pretty good. It's a 390. So that would be your primary. I would highly suggest a pulse. You're not going to want to be too close to enemies. So SMGs are good. But you're gonna have to be a little bit close to get an effective range. But I do have one in here, and I do have one right here that I like. I have Demolitionist or Surrounded and Threat Detector for a greater reload. You're gonna be around enemies the whole time. So this is I like, and this is probably gonna be one of the things that I'm going to be making a lot of Warmind cells with, either directly or if I'm using Wither Horde, which could be very useful in this raid. We'll get into that later. So I know a lot of people I've talked about blinding grenades. Wendigo was the big one that had them. We did have, you could have Malicious Birthright that had this previously, but blinding nades are more prevalent because Truth Teller has them. And then also Disruption Break, which can give you a 50% damage increase if you break a shield of the matching type. Actually, I don't even think it has to be the matching type anymore. You just have to break the shield and you get a 50% increase in kinetic damage. With Disruption Break, but blinding nades are going to be the main perk you're going to look for on a breach load grenade launcher. They blind enemies for like 7 seconds, 7 to 10 seconds. I'm not sure exactly how much it is. Now this does lack DPS if you're looking for a special weapon to do DPS, so it still can, it does more than a primary obviously, but it's not going to be super great for single target DPS, but it will blind everything. And if you have Disruption Break and break the shields, you do get a buff in kinetic damage. On to heavy, my main heavy is going to be Xenophage. I know a lot of people are probably going to be looking at this gun. This is by far the easiest gun to use in the game as far as heavy. It does excellent DPS. It can create Warmind cells with Wrath of Rasputin, which whatever, I have it on here, right here. So keep that in mind. It is a very good weapon to have. The only thing that I would caution about this in heavy is you may have to manage ammo, and you're probably going to have to manage ammo. So whatever you have for your heavy or whatever you're going to want to use for your main DPS, if you're using it a lot to kill ads, make sure you have finders on here. Like I have this machine gun finder, and probably want to go ahead and have a scavenger on your boots as well. So I have both on here. Some backups for your heavy. We'll go ahead and just go reverse order. Some backups for heavy. Obviously, Falling Guillotine. It's not going to be quite as prevalent as it is in lower level content because they're 20 under light. Any boss stomp is going to kill you unless you're highly protected and have an overshield and you just time their boss stomps correctly. It's going to be really difficult to do in a day one raid. And also you have to think about physics pushing you back. You can die to those physics blasts a lot more just of pushing you back and hitting into a wall. And looking at the atmosphere that I think the raid's going to be in, I know it's been leaked, but I haven't looked at it. I'm thinking it's going to be a more indoor raid. It's not going to be a big open outdoor raid like Garden was. So just be careful with that. Anarchy is always a very, very, very good weapon to have for DPS. You could just stick 2 or 3 if it's a large enough target on there, and you can forget about it, or you can switch to your special and do DPS that way. So that is a very good one. Other ones that you want to look at are some good grenade launchers, say a clown cartridge, full court, anything that has a damage boost that you don't have to kill enemies with. So like full court, I know there's not any with firing line, but full court is going to be the main one. The further you are away, the more damage it does. Plus 30 meters is really what you want to be, and you really aren't going to want to be close to anything in this raid anyway. So that's heavy. Let me go ahead and pull up dim. You guys didn't know, if you're on PC, you can just press Shift Tab. It's going to bring up your Steam browser. Just go to your web browser, and I have dim right here. It's a lot easier if you're on one PC or even one monitor than switching over and tabbing out. And then you could just set this as your home page, and you have everything right here. I know this looks ugly right now, and I'm going to explain to you why it looks ugly. So other heavies that you're going to want to look for. I would say each flavor of grenade launcher, and you probably want to have spike grenades on them for every heavy, just each, arc, solar, and void, every single one. I have one of each on here. Other heavies you're going to want to look for are whisper to put on here. I'm just going to pull them from collections whenever I get it. I don't have it on my character right now. You have the new rocket launcher or the grenade launcher with the, which one do I have it on? The new one, the arc chaining one, this one right here, chain reaction. If you have that, it's going to be good for ad clear. It's not going to be super great for DPS, so you're going to lack DPS, and you're going to want your special weapon to have DPS. Then that is pretty much it for heavies. Let me back out here. We're going to go back in there. I want to go into collections and see just if there's any other things in here that would be good. The Xenophage Anarchy, 1K could be good. The time it takes to charge it up kind of sucks if you're in a middle of a fight, and also the possibility of killing yourself is going to be a lot higher in this. So Whisper would be a good one. I wish that Sleeper was, but it's just nerfed into the ground. So Tractor Cannon for a debuff would be good to have. Other than that, those are going to be what you want. You may want to keep a Salvation's Grip on. There may be a mechanic that requires it. Usually there is not anything in a day one raid that requires you to have one specific gun, but it wouldn't hurt just to have it. That is pretty much it for the exotics for your heavy slot. And then I'm just looking through this really quick to see if there's anything that I left out. If you want to use a linear fusion, if you still have this line in the sand, one with firing line is very good. I don't think that's going to be very useful because you could probably just use your special or even a kinetic sniper and get more damage out of it easier. So moving on to our special weapons, so we're moving backwards. Once again, the breach load grenade launchers, True Teller with blinding grenades are really good. Telesto is a very good choice if you have the exotic slot open. It is very good at ad killing. It generates orbs like crazy, and you shoot one and you can kill like 10 ads with it. It's absolutely the most broken gun, probably aside from Xenophage in the game, and it's been in the game since Destiny 1. So backups for that are going to be an Ikelos Sniper rifle. I'm going to go ahead and put that on there because that's the one that I have. And what you want to look for on those are high impact reserves in either triple tap or 4 times the charm, and a extended mag or appended mag. Anything that gives you more in the mag is going to be really good. I think I can get, with 7 in the mag, I think it's like 14 straight shots off without reloading, which is absolutely insane. So that's another good one. Shotguns I'm going to kind of shy away from. Risk Runner could be another audible just because it offers the protection. Duality is a very good one. It does offer really good DPS. I think it's like the highest DPS with some hunter exotics right now, but you're going to have to be close to enemies for it, so it's going to be really risky to actually use it. Ariana's If there happens to be anti-barrier champions in the raid, we don't know yet if there's going to be any kind of anti-barrier champions in there. But other than that, a 7 Seraph shotgun, not one that's quick draw snapshot, or Ikelos. Either one of those do the same thing. I have one that's Vorpal threat detector that I really like a lot, so it gives me that damage buff without doing anything extra. They just have to be a yellow bar and I get the damage buff. So that Ikelos would be good. If you have martyrs, it's going to be good for ad clear, but it is not going to be good for DPS whatsoever. You're pretty much eliminating one of your weapon slots for DPS if you're using this weapon, but it's good for creating Warmind cells. But that is really about it. Some other ones, first in, last out. These shotguns are very good damage. But once again, just like duality, you're going to be hard pressed to actually use this in a day one raid, just because most of the enemies that you're going to want to kill with it probably can one shot you in either one melee or a stomp. So be careful there. So I talked about pulse rifles before. I do have a GN that I like. And where is my little stars one that I thought about? Whatever. Probably not going to use any auto rifles in this raid. They're just not super great. And I do have a couple distant Tumuluses that are good, but the Ikelos weapon is going to be the one that I'm going to use the most. I believe that is it for special weapons. Let me just get a quick glance at these real quick. Oh yeah, this one, Stars and Shadows, not Treads Upon Stars. Those are most of the energy weapons that I would recommend you using. And then let me look right here at... Sorry I'm clearing my throat so much. I just woke up. Just energy weapons. So I said Telesto. Sunshot could be okay if you want to use a primary, but I'm not going to say to use it. Merciless could have a good spot. It does have a ridiculous amount of ammo now, so that could be a, an audible to call on day one. Divinity is going to be good, especially if you're not running hunters. I know a lot of people aren't running 2 hunters. Our team currently is. I would probably say more warlocks the better. Fourth Horseman is another good DPS thing, but it also has the problem that duality has, whereas you're going to have to be too close to actually get it to actually be useful. Ruinous Effigy, I feel like before they nerfed this, that this probably could have been a really good weapon. But I think that the reason for the nerf of this gun, which is they nerfed the slam of it, I'm pretty sure that it was because of the raid. So this may be one to look out for that may be useful in the raid, but I'm not going to take it in right away. That's it for energy. I'm going to move to kinetic and think about some exotics first. First and foremost is Inagi's Burden. Even though its reload is trash, it is still the best burst damage, especially if you have the catalyst to use it. Chaperone is good for DPS, but once again has the same problem that all shotguns have. If you don't have a pulse rifle and you want to use a deep or just a regular pulse rifle as a primary, Outbreak would be good. Bad Juju would be good for the super, but Bad Juju has really poor DPS, so I probably wouldn't say try that out. Ace of Spades is going to be kind of a sleeper in the primary. I made a whole video about this before. Ace of Spades is going to be really good. It's got really good range, and it's got damage perk that stays with you with just killing one enemy and stacks off of that. So that is actually going to be one that I'm going to be taking into the raid. And let me see if there's any others that I want to talk about. No Time to Explain could be a very good one as well. Kind of the same as Outbreak. Outbreak can actually do really good DPS. It actually won a world's first with Crown of Sorrow. They actually used Outbreak, so keep that in mind. I don't think that's going to be the case this time, but it could be. No Time to Explain is going to be better for just staying alive because you're going to have the little buddy with you, and it's going to constantly reload every single precision shot. That's what I was looking for. Wither Horde. Definitely 100%. This is absolutely one you should have on your character going into the raid. It is so simple to make Warmind cells with this, and I could see this in the beginning, especially the beginning parts of the raid, making a ton of Warmind cells for you. If you don't know how you make Warmind cells with this, you just shoot Wither Horde and you switch to your secondary, your energy weapon, which should be an Ikelos weapon or a 7 Seraph weapon, probably the SMG on both of them, and whatever dies inside the pool of the Wither Horde, the game thinks it's actually the weapon that you have equipped doing it, and it can pop out Warmind cells. So this is definitely it. Its DPS isn't great, but the fact that you can shoot it, switch to something else, and keep on shooting that target, it reloads by itself and shoot it again. So you don't have to have a lot of time just actually using this weapon, and it does a lot for you. And I think that is the majority of those that you're going to want to look. What do I have on my character right now? Once again, the pulse rifle and sniper rifles. So a long shadow is probably going to be one of the most used guns in this raid. If you have rapid hit or field prep in the first slot, and then you want triple tap in the second slot. So this is going to be, you know, this has a pinned mag and I have a backup mag on it. So I have 7 in the magazine, and just like my my Ikelos Sniper rifle, I can fire this off for like 15 shots or something ridiculous if you hit all precision shots. And then you'll have, with rapid hit, the actual reload increase as well. So you want to look out for that. And a pinned mag, extended mag, field prep or rapid hit, and then triple tap in the final one. I do have this Eye of Soul, which has Vorpal on it. I kind of have that. It's probably not going to get used, but I do have that in case. It's only got 5 in the magazine. Let me see what I can get with a backup mag. I can get 6 in the magazine, so that's not too bad. If you're standing in a rift, especially at Lunafaction Rift, it could be okay for damage. If you say if there's lots of yellow bars that you're going to constantly get that buff with, that would be a very good thing. And let me check out my vault one more time, and then I'll go in to tell you why this is so ugly in here. Huckleberry, as much as I love the gun, and I've made a bunch of videos about Huckleberry, I don't think it's going to be super useful. It can't create Warmind cells. It does take up an exotic slot. So I don't think I'm going to be using it, but I have it just in case. Any 120 that you have could be a very good replacement for a pulse rifle. If you don't like pulse rifles or just don't have one that's good, I don't even think this Criminal's Dagger is very good. Yeah, it's got time payload. It can stagger a lot of enemies, which could be good, but that's going to be what your blinding nades are going to be for. I do have the 7 Seraph auto ready to go, but its DPS is very poor, and being under 20 levels under light, it is not very good. I don't think I'm going to be using any 140 hand cannons, and I think that is really about it for what I'm going to be using. Primaries, I just don't have a lot of selection of what I like. I'd like to have something that had more of a damage perk for a 120. The ones that I have saved right now are, yeah, they're not very good. They have time payload on them. So I thought that was going to be kind of useful in PvP, and honestly, it is. So those are going to be what to look for. Now, before you get into the raid, and even if you're still leveling now, I know this video is kind of late, but every single weapon, every single piece of armor that you get that is over 1230, you should be saving, especially the blues for things that you're not going to want to keep. So this is why I have so many blues, and this is why my vault looks like total butt right now. I'm saving every single blue that is above 1230 so I can have it for quick infusion in case something comes up like, hey, this X weapon is very, very good against this boss or this encounter. So I have that ready to go in case that happens. And same with armor. I've saved the same armor pieces as well. I am taking a Warlock in, so most of everything you see in my vault right now is all Warlock stuff. Pretty much deleted everything that I wasn't using or wasn't useful before the season. Now, moving on to exotics, I'll talk about Warlock first. You want to have at least one full set masterwork with stat rolls that you want. I'm going to say that resilience is probably going to play a bigger part in this raid than what it used to. So look out for your rolls that have good resilience and also good recovery too. I would say that intellect probably isn't that great. Strength isn't going to be that great unless you're running like a melee build with maybe the new stasis subclasses, which could be kind of useful. It's not something I'm going to do, but for what I have, I'm going to have a Nezarec Sin, and I'm also going to probably have Crown of Tempest in case I'm going to switch to Arc, but I probably won't. Everything else, the Getaway Artist for an Arc would be good. Your Karnsteins would be good. Winter's Guile, probably not, because you're not going to be meleeing a lot of stuff. If you're finding you need to reload a lot more, Ophidian Aspect is good, and Controverse Hold is probably a must-have as well. I'm actually going to put that on my character because I've been meaning to have that on there for a while. That is going to be what I recommend for arms. For chest piece, so Phoenix Protocol and Starfire Protocol are going to be ones that you're going to want to get. Phoenix Protocol, you put the well down and you get more of your super energy back based on how many assists and, you know, kills you get in it. Starfire Protocol, I don't see a lot of people talking about this, but it gives you 2 fusion grenades. If you're on Warlock, 2 Men of Grace, you get 2 healing grenades. And if you throw them on somebody, you get the buff that gives you your Rift and why can't I think of what it's called? I'm gonna look at it. It's gonna bother me. Why can't I think of what that's called? Benevolent Dawn. Divine Protection. Benevolent Dawn. So if you have that, it increases your actual grenade and melee and Rift. So if you have Starfire Protocol on, you're pretty much going to be throwing grenades at your friends or at your own feet. And if somebody else, one of your teammates, runs into that, you automatically get an increase in your abilities recharging, and you can pretty much have either Divine Protection or you can have a Rift at all times. So this is a very, very, very good exotic for a day 1 raid, especially if you're running Warlock and you're actually wanting to run like a heal class. I would highly suggest putting that on. Those are going to be the ones that I'm going to look for. Obviously, Transversive Steps, I'm probably going to keep that on for a lot of the raid. I can reload and have a buff in my sprint speed, which is good. The reload more so than that. A good pair of Lunafaction boots for the reload perk, especially if you're in a well. And that is most of the exotics for a Warlock. I really am not going to go into too crazy about exotics for Titan and Hunter. I'm not going to be playing on them, but in case you are, Wormhusk is going to be a good one. Celestial is going to be a good one for DPS. One-Eyed Mask for Titans for survivability. Also Helm of Saint 14 if you're running Bubble Titan. Let me think of some other ones that would actually be decent. Doomfang could be good if you're running Void class as well for your Titan. Other than that, if I think of anything come out off of mine, Actium Warrig if you're running autos for your Titan, or if you're running Xenophage, because it does the same thing with machine guns as well. This is very good for Xenophage. Armamentarium, so 2 grenade charges, which could be useful if you're using a grenade build for your Titan. Lion Rampants for jumping puzzles, and those are really about it. I don't have any of the new actual exotics for Titan or Hunter yet because I haven't played on them. I've worked every day since launch. Phoenix Cradle, if you're running solar, if you want to run kind of not a DPS, but a support role as in killing a lot of enemies, Phoenix Cradle is going to be great because you're going to give that Sun Warrior buff to your teammates everywhere you kill something while you have the Sun Warrior buff. So there could be little sunspots all over the whole map if you're using this. I think that is majority of what I wanted to talk about today. As far as loadout goes, or makeup of your team, the more Warlocks, the better. Redeem's day 1 team is actually taking all 6 Warlocks because they're just more useful, and survivability and staying alive during a day 1 raid is actually the most important thing. A lot of people think it's getting DPS and whatnot. Doesn't matter. Take as many damage phases as it takes, but if you stay alive the whole time, you're going to figure out more. The mechanics are going to be easier for you if you're actually figuring them out and staying alive. And killing all the enemies and not just constantly bombarded and constantly, you know, in this tunnel vision because there's so much going on. So don't try to go after a 1 phase. It doesn't help. Just try to stay alive and kill stuff the whole time. Stay alive and kill stuff. You're either healing or you're killing stuff. That's all you want to do in this day 1 raid. Think about mechanics last. I know you see a lot of people freaking out about, I'm good at figuring out mechanics, or I figured out mechanics first. It's never the team that figures out the mechanics first that wins the day 1 raid. It never happens that way. You could have somebody right now that knows every single mechanic of the raid and knows exactly how it works and exactly how to do it. And if their team can't actually execute it and stay alive, they're not going to finish the raid. So stop worrying about figuring out the mechanics. You will. Start worrying about staying alive and helping your teammates stay alive. That is the biggest thing in a day 1 raid. And I'm going to harp on that more Stop worrying about figuring out mechanics. It's not how you win raids. It's not how you get a day one completion. Stop worrying about mechanics. Worry about staying alive and killing everything. Then you can worry about mechanics, because more than likely you're going to probably figure out the mechanics within the first hour of doing the actual encounter anyway, if you're watching somebody or not. The mechanics aren't super hard in this game to figure out, and most of the time they're telling you, they're screaming at you, here's how you do the mechanic. It's not like it's super hard. And I know a lot of people don't understand that because they just don't tell you straight up, like it's not a text on the screen. You're like, make sure you throw the ball at this thing and somebody stands on this plate. It's not a big thing. Figuring out mechanics is not how you win raid races. And I'm going to say it again. Figuring out mechanics is not how you win raid races. Staying alive is. So guys, stay alive. Keep your butt safe. Have fun tomorrow if you're going in. If you're watching this after the raid, thanks for watching. This still applies to somebody going into the raid for the first time. So hopefully you guys had a lot of fun. Hopefully the raid is super great. I'm super excited about it. It's what we've all built up for an entire year. It feels like we've had 6 months without content, and now here the raid is at our doorstep. So guys, have a good one. Keep your butt safe. Like and subscribe. Do all that stuff. I love you.